Okay. Um, let's begin then. So we've done this book jacket design a couple of times before. Once I think I did this even on Instagram. That was also nice. And then I think we've done this in class also a couple of times. So essentially, this is what we're going to do. I'm very particular about keeping my books as at least a book cover as clean as possible. So I don't often I don't even lend my books to people because they have horrible habits. People have the habit of folding books pages, and it's like my brain just like atrophies at that point. Like, I could slap the person right in front of me. So the covers that I make, I realize that many times when you have a book jacket, it your book stays better. The edges don't fold up. So this is what happens to a really old book, and especially if it's going to be something like this. I still often love to go to a dictionary. So this is what happens. Just because of the nature of paper, it starts fraying through seasons. But when you keep it folded and protected, it lasts better. So the book I'd asked for all of you to keep handy would be something that's 8 inches or less, because that is the height of our A4 size paper when it's held sideways. Okay, so we need 2 sheets because depending upon the size of our book, we will need the jacket to go on all sides. So it needs to fold in from both sides. And an A4 size is usually not enough. An A4 size just goes around once, but it doesn't have enough to loop around. So we will need 2 sheets, which we are going to join. And if you have a regular drawing paper, you will notice that one side is really smooth and one side is slightly rough. So we are going to keep the rough side on the inside, because we have to do lettering, and often in lettering we want to use fine lines. At least we want the option of using fine lines. So we don't want paper that has got a little bit of tooth. A fine surface would give you better, finer lines for texture. All right, so we are first going to make the jacket. So we will cut it to size and paste it and keep it ready. And then we are going to do the design part in our book. So we are, wait, Shivani, you're saying something? Okay, sorry.
My daughter, sorry. I need
Okay,
to
okay.
tell her. I don't want to get
Sorry,
up.
I thought on you.
Continue.
Right. So we will, while we wait for the glue to dry, we will design the cover and do a few options, of which then you can execute that on the paper. Now, for today, I've asked you to get white paper, but you could literally use any paper. So if those of you who haven't had a chance to go out and get white paper, yeah, you can use old bags. Brown paper bags are excellent for this. You could use even some gift bags, like shopping bags from stores. Their paper is also very good quality. Then what are the other things? If you've got gift wrapping paper, that is also very nice. And of course, you can make a collage of all of these things also and make a large sheet, which then you can fold. So there's hajar options that you can use to make a book jacket. And white paper is like it's like the base. This is like a vanilla. And uske upar you can do hajar things.
Amazon sends out a whole lot of brown paper in
Yeah,
their packing.
yeah, and it's nice paper.
Yeah,
So
it's
you can
thick paper. Yeah.
But sometimes they use a little bit too much, especially for like
They
a
do.
small item. Like one time we had ordered something small and they had just wrapped dozens of paper around it, and like it just gets wasted.
It does.
Yeah, it's more than the size of the
Yeah.
product. Yeah.
And
Unless you're packing like glass, then you can understand, okay, it needs to be protected so it doesn't break. But something for example, a shaving cream bottle. That I don't think doesn't need.
No, I think this overpacking thing is just because they don't want people to return. So you just like, and you know, there are people like that now who will
Yeah.
complain about everything, and you need one bad apple, complain, and then all of us have to suffer over packaging. Okay, so let's begin with making the cover. Okay, so this is the size of my book, and there's about an inch or so extra. So if I were to fold my paper around, I'll just have, on this book, I will have about a centimeter extra. I'm not folding it yet, but just to check, I'll have a centimeter extra. Or maybe an inch. So this is how it looks. If I don't use extra paper, one single paper around the book gives me very small folds inside. This can easily come off. So I would use at least 1/2 of the second paper to add length to the first sheet, so that I can fold it somewhere over here like that, and then get some extra paper on the inside. Now, if those of you who have a cutting board and a cutter, you can use that as a base. It always helps. Those of you who don't have it, we'll just use our hands, create frayed edges also. This can also be an effect. I'm going to keep the frayed edge on the inside. And I'm going to add, paste it over here. Now my book is not the same height, so I have to also adjust the height. I usually like to keep a few on both sides, the front, the top and the bottom. So a few on this side and a few on that side, so that it can fold in if needed, but should not expose the cover. So here you can mark. Or you can also use a scale.
Mine doesn't have much space on the top.
Then don't bother.
It's like 2 millimeters.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, now I'm just going to check. This is about 2.5 centimeters. Now, if you have a cutter, I would recommend using a cutter for this, or you could fold it and then just tear it also, but that would just give you a frayed edge. So yeah, scissor is fine too, but scissors can often also give you a very uneven cutting sometimes. So cutter is the best. Oh, you know what? We could have cut this even after pasting. That way it just, you get a straight line. Okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna first paste this. If you haven't cut this additional part, then don't cut it before pasting because matching edges is a pain.
Ma'am, are we supposed to measure the book on the large paper?
Yeah. So I'm pasting this on the from the inside. So here it's the rough edge. And make sure that this is straight. So match the edge at the bottom so that it's straight. And this rough edge is on the inside. So on the outside, it looks like a smooth, straight edge. So ideally, if you cut this whole thing after pasting, any day that is a better option. No? Remember that. It's my bad. I cut first.
What is that scissor you're using, Aditi?
I don't know. This is some like a commando kind of scissor. Hajar things you can do with this. Like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, it looks so
It's a-
interesting.
Looks
It's
like you can
fine.
open a bottle also.
Bottle opener
Yeah, it's an
and
all-in-one. So bottle opener, screwdriver.
ah,
Then you have, so this can be used usually for tugging at things. If you've got I mean, you can put a steel wire or something. And in fact, sometimes you can even pull cars and all. Then you have a bottle opener like that. So you can grip on this and you can.
yeah.
And I have no idea what this is, but I suspect it's going to be something similar where you hold something like that and then it also can be dismantled. So it comes apart.
Oh, oh.
So maybe, I don't know, you can do something like that. And I don't know. I haven't
Maybe
figured
for
that.
left hand and right hand people. Sometimes
Uh,
they have, no? For people
yeah,
who are left handed.
maybe, but it didn't
Mhm.
seem like that. Left-handed would be turned the other way around. Okay, so this is done.
Ma'am, sorry. There I have a question.
Yeah.
How would you measure the book?
How would you measure the book? You just put it on the paper and you leave a little bit from this side. See, maybe a millimeter or so from this side. And the same thing from that side. Sorry, I'm just gonna reposition. And you have a little bit from this side. Okay, so that eventually when the book is covered, you don't see anything of the book. There's a little bit of paper coming on top. That's the height. And for the width, like I said, this book is just enough for an A4 size to cover and then maybe give me a centimeter of extra paper to fold in. But usually that's not enough. And this is what's going to happen. So the jacket is not going to be very efficient. Whereas if you join, then you can put a little more, and even up to an inch or 2 inches secures it better.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
So if I have like excess down here, so I should cut it, right? Like,
You should, yes, you should cut it.
thank you.
So align it against one side, the top or the bottom, and then mark on the top, and then using a scale measure and then make that line.
Okay.
Okay.
I just have a little bit here on the top. So should I cut it off? Right
If
now
it is-
it's not.
Yeah, if it is more than a centimeter or even a centimeter, more than 2 millimeters on either side is a little excess, and that can be, well, it won't be efficient when you're reading. No, so what will happen is once you've done this, you're going to keep it in a bookshelf, right? So when you keep it
Yeah.
in the bookshelf, either from the bottom or from the top, it's going to get squished.
Yeah.
So then it'll keep interfering into the pages. It'll keep coming in. So if you can cut it, but it's not necessary that you need to do it right now. You can do it later also. So that that's a minor thing. Okay. Let me know when you're done with this pasting, and then we can proceed with the design.
Aditi, you used half of the other paper, right?
Yes, I used half because I really don't need much more.
Okay.
So see, there's ample, enough and more place, even with half. Is everyone done?
Yes, Aditi.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now we can, if you have a scale, measure two things: the cover of the book, so in centimeters or in inches. I have a centimeter scale. So measure the front cover. So mine is about 17.1 by, and to the edge of the spine by 10.5. Now, I am not one to only rely on a scale. So the other thing you can do is just use a pencil to mark a horizontal line along the edge and a vertical line along the standing edge. So you get some idea of the size of the book. And keep it casual. You don't really need scales. So this at least gives you an idea of the area that you have to cover. Because oftentimes when we design without thinking about the area that we have to cover, and we use large fonts or something like that, then when making the book, then suddenly that wake up is not very pleasant. The other thing that you should also do is measure the spine. So on one side you have the cover and the other side you have the spine. So more or less you get an idea of the front and the side. This is exactly how it will be, the front here and the side here. And since books are kept with their sides visible, you should be able to see the name of the book on the spine. I don't know why masala companies don't do this also. I often find it that when you stack boxes of masalas in your cupboards, you want to stack them sideways and they never write the name of the masala on the side. What is the point? I should write to somebody.
Ma'am, sorry, I have one more question.
Yes.
How will you paste, like, now that I've cut the half paper?
So you paste it like this, where, can you see this? So just about an inch or so, an overlap, and paste it in such a way that if you tone it by hand, that end comes on the inside. Now, the joint is going to be visible regardless. But how we're going to do the fold is that we will keep the joint in the back.
Okay.
So on the front, you won't see it. On the spine, you won't see it. This remains clear. And on the back, even if this remains, this is hardly a place where anybody is going to go. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
So you will paste it like this. This will be on the right side so that when you fold it eventually, you won't see anything on the front and on the side.
Okay.
Now, the reason I'm not folding this is because if you want to make a design that flows through, then you don't want these folds in between because that will create ridges and valleys which will blot ink more than necessary. Okay. Now coming to the design of the book. First of all, identify everything that you're going to write on the cover and the way you're going to write it. Now remember, this is your book jacket. You can decide what you want to write on the cover. So even if it is, say this is a dictionary and this belongs to Jaideep Gokhale, I can always write Jaideep Gokhale's New Merriam-Webster Dictionary. If it is your book, you can always write Aditi's Thesaurus or whatever, especially for reference books, because that then takes care of stolen books. When somebody is going to stare your, is going to steal your beautifully covered book, they will think it's always going to be in front of their faces. So try to make it quirky also. For example, if it is a book like this, or even this, Christopher Hitchens, you can always write things like stolen from the library of, or Christopher Hitchens, letters to a contrarian, and then in the bottom, from the library of, or from the stolen. So keep it fun. Okay, so just at base level, what I'm going to write is the New Merriam-Webster. Now in this, remember to write these spellings very carefully. I have seen Merriam-Webster written in many different ways. Merriam-Webster, Merriam-Webster, depends on what spelling that you're most familiar with. The new Merriam-Webster dictionary. Now, whenever you're doing lettering, a few things to remember is that all lettering, even for books, there's a hierarchy. You can't, I mean, over here they've written everything in the same font style, but if you have a look at this, we read things differently. So here the book is written in the style of P.G. Wodehouse, where Jeeves is such a big character that they've written this biggest, King of Clubs the next important, and connecting them is and the. So you won't write Jeeves the biggest and the second small and then King of Clubs the smallest, unless that is the significant plot line of the book. So this is called hierarchy. In this hierarchy also, you would write the name of the author separately, which is the next important thing, and the color makes it stand out. A white color against a dark background. And here, in a smaller font, is written an homage to P.G. Wodehouse. So every title, when there are very few words written anywhere, whether it is a book, whether it is a plaque, like a name plaque, whether it is a shop sign, whether it is like a restaurant sign that tells you certain menus, there's always going to be a hierarchy of lettering. We must always keep that in mind. Then you need to decide what you want the hierarchy to be. So what are the options? I can write Merriam-Webster really big. So maybe I can write something like this. And then I can write the new and then the dictionary here. Now, I personally love design where you have really large letters. But that's just my personal taste. That it does not have to be like that. You could also write something like this. And then you could write the new and dictionary. So these are all styles that you can decide for yourself. And because it's an illustrated jacket, I'm going to encourage you to keep the style very casual. We do not want to make it look like a print. It should look casual and fun. So suppose this is what we're going to do. The Merriam-Webster dictionary, the new variant. And if you have other options, please go ahead. Think of other styles of lettering that you want to write and give some importance to a few letters and then lesser importance to the next and then even further lesser. So what we need to keep in mind is size for the hierarchy. Font style. Sometimes you use a very bold style and then make it very important. Then you have color. And then you also have embellishments. So these are the variables, the biggest size, the most decorative font, the most significant or attractive color combination, and the embellishment. All of this wanes according to the hierarchy. So when you're making these things by hand, you may have limited font selection. So you may have one font that does something like this, a very bold font. Or you may have the same font, which is just to keep it casual. You might also want to write something like that. A very scratchy Roman font, but it's still bold. Then the next font type you would probably have is something like this, which is big, but it is again very casual, written with maybe a sketch pen. This will stand out a lot. So the things that you have to work out or say draw out or figure out is which font in what size, in what color, with what embellishment. Now, along with this also what we need is some kind of illustration. So the two need to tie in together. Like over here, we had floral illustration, and then I wrote the name of the book in bold letters, G's, and then bold letters without a shadow, King of Clubs, and then just as a simple monoline Roman lettering. So here now we are writing about the dictionary. So we can choose all sorts of motifs to paint. Since we have done print design, maybe if you want, you can just make a universal print also to paint on this. Or you can just give a simple color. Oh, sorry. So just in the back of the page, I'd like you to work out a few options of what kind of cover you could make. Now for that, ideally, make the whole jacket, which will be the flap, inside flap, front cover, spine, back cover, and back flap. So you will have these two flaps on the side. Even if your size is not absolutely accurate, these are the different areas that you have to cover up with some kind of illustration. Make at least 3 of these and explore at least 3 options. Because often the first 2 you can get very easily. The first one is your default. Like in my case, the default would probably be some kind of flowers. Because it's just the easiest thing to do. And the easiest thing to do may not be the best thing to do. You can do some other stuff that might turn out even better. I'm really tempted to just make one really nice Chatak print. Oh yes, I have these Posca markers. I could just make them with that. Okay. So what are the options? You can write the text over here, right in the center, the new Merriam-Webster dictionary. You can have an illustration at the bottom over here. And then over here, you can write the same. You just have to write. Spine is not a big problem because more or less you write in the same way. Oh, it's always top to bottom. Huh? It's left facing. I would also encourage you to think about something for the back. So we don't have to replicate all of these, but you know what? It might be fun. I have done this sometime. Make the ISBN number. So you just make a lot of these lines and then write the ISBN number. it looks very cute when you make it by hand. It's totally inaccurate. You cannot scan it, but it just looks great to make it. Okay, so whenever you're designing a jacket, even for like a casual jacket, depending upon what book you're holding, think of something that is appropriate for the book and try to make some kind of cover that is a recall from the book itself. Now, in the case of, for example, any novel will probably have a setting. It'll be a country or a city or a bunch of cities. So from the stuff that we have done in the past, you could just pick up, say the story is set in Sweden or something. We've done a whole travel page on Sweden. So you can just pick up from there and just draw a montage of a Swedish village or of Stockholm or something like that, and then use that as the backdrop against which we will write the lettering. Sometimes there is a particular moment in the book that is like a turnaround. Like maybe, for example, if we have things like, oh, you must have seen the cover of Eat, Pray, Love. It's so beautiful. The word eat is written with food, I think. Pray is written with flowers or beads or something. And love is written with something else. It's so nice. It's just a very simple way of writing letters using different elements. Now, in our version, you could probably make it like a three-phase thing. You have a picture of a lovely pizza, then you have a picture of some Devi or something. And I don't know what you could do for love, maybe just flowers or chocolates. Or I don't know. What is the manifestation of love, you might say?
Birds and leaves.
Leaves and birds.
In Hindi films, they used to show the flowers.
Ah,
kissing.
yes. That's good. But flowers, chalo. So flowers meeting. Bollywood love, yes.
Bollywood love.
So it helps if you have some context. Firstly, because it just helps you imagine a lot of things. More than how it looks, it is just a challenge that we want to take on. But what we can do for today is, because we've just been doing this surface design, we can just print a very beautiful pattern as complex as you want across the surface. Now, just for fun, I'm going to do one which is going to be like maybe a William Morris print. But I'm not going to insist that everybody does that. We can just do simple flowers. Actually, forget William Morris. I'll do it another day because that will take a month. But we'll just do simple flowers.
Ma'am, is my sheet too long?
Just hold it against the book like that, no? And just see what I'll do is my book, I'll hold it like that. I'll keep a little bit along the side and then don't fold it, but just hold it across and see how much space do you have. This much is fine. It should be, your flap inside should not be bigger than the size of the cover itself. If it comes even right till here, it's okay. But if it is going to go beyond, it doesn't have any room, you know? So then but wait, don't fold it right now. We are going to fold it. I'll show you afterwards. All right. So the next thing that we can do is, suppose we write the new. I really want to write big letters. Mariam. Oh. Dictionary. And then what I want to do is just actually fill up a lot of different, very modern floral patterns. And if you have different media, like we have watercolor, of course, but if you have markers or color pencils, crayons, you can use all of that to create a very lovely multi-dimensional illustration all over the cover. So it becomes very distinctive. celebrating its handmadeness, and it does not have to merge with any of your existing books, which can often be very boring design. When it comes to placement, because we don't want to fold the book, you will, now this is the final side. This is the wrong side. And I'm making these marks now on the right side. So I'm going to keep the book over here and just measure out my space. It does not have to be in the middle. Sometimes your flap in the front will be more, sometimes in the back it will be more. But what you'll do now is make cut marks. So you will make a mark on the edge. This is the bottom edge. So now technically, this is what's going to happen. Sure. Keep the book the other way around, ulta. Okay, let me explain this before we goof up. When we keep the book with the wrong side on top, okay, the joint should be on your right. All right, so that it touches the back of the book. Okay, so that the spine and the front does not have any joint. All right, so now what we're going to do is this part, we're going to, you can even like this, you can mark the front of the book. And just with a little fold, you can mark the side of the book. So I don't want to take this off, because if we do, it will get very confusing and you will make the illustration upside down on the wrong side. We don't want that. So we got somewhere, we've got the front, sorry, like this. I'm not folding it yet, but I've got a mark for the front and the side. And once I remove this, now you know this is the front. This is your spine. These two are the most important areas. Where is it? Okay. So here's about 8.9. Now I don't even have to measure it. Forget it. I'm not going to measure it. This is the middle, and this is this is the front, and this is the spine. All right. Now, before we do the floral art, let's decide on the lettering style. So those of you who have the book, you can just pick the style that you want. Since it is quite, these are very big words, but I would like to make them look like they are like an old institution, Merriam-Webster, because as I read it, this is from 1830 or something that they have been in print. 1831. So I would like to make it look like an old institution. And maybe I could do something like use some of these vintage letters. At least for the M and the W. So what I'll do here is mark the area. I'm making Merriam-Webster really big. And the style of the lettering is that you make basic form and then you add these embellishments on the side. These are chicken feet. And then you just go around them. Oh yeah, and also in the middle. Now, if you find this very complicated, don't bother. You can make something as simple as this also. So just go around that basic form with plain lines. And like I said, keep it casual. It does not have to look very even. So when I'm making the Merriam-Webster also, I will make this the rough letters only because I want to see how much space I have. And I don't want to overshoot the area. Now, when you write this in rough, you also know how much space you need. So that even if you don't have a scale, again and again, I'm reiterating, you can use some paper and figure out, okay, do I have enough space over here to write? Or maybe just a little bit. So this has to be a little smaller. So use tools like these, just scraps of paper. Sometimes even your pencil is enough. Just measure with pencil and see how much space you have. Now, obviously, I have miscalculated the space, so it's a little bigger. So I need to make it a little smaller. Now, here's another thing that I often do. Using this sheet of paper itself, you can see how much space you need, maybe just about so much. Fold the page. And give yourself letters over here itself. So about this much space, okay. Then behind it, you can make Webster. So what you can do is once that is done, you can recreate it over here and practice your letters over here. Now, I rarely do a pencil and pen mix. I mean, I directly write with pen and it can look a little, I think it just looks very fun. As long as the letters fit, all sorts of shapes can look fun. The only way all these letters, even if they are wonky, the way they look good is if your line is confident. So don't hesitate. Don't make lines like that. That is what looks very, an unsure line looks very ugly. So this is one way. And the other one, you could also write like this. This is just plainer. I'm deliberately not making the letters too perfect. All right. So what we'll do is the easiest way is to superimpose a design on an illustration. So let's start painting this. Leave a little room here now that you know how much space you have, so that you don't make too many flowers in this space. But don't make any lines on this paper yet. That's the reason why we are doing all this measuring. It's because once you make pencil lines and you paint, then those pencil lines cannot be erased. So the measurements should be made before, and that it doesn't hurt to spend time in measuring. Then just place it and get an idea that I'm going to write Merriam here, Webster here. So somewhere in this area, I don't want flowers. I'm going to put my flowers all around. Okay, that's good enough. Just leave a blank space over here. And let's get painting. The projects like these, I would recommend sit on a nice rainy Sunday afternoon with lots of books. And एक के बाद एक ना assembly line बनाओ books की. So first measure them, make all these ready. Like now I have these two books. I have this Christopher Hitchens book as well. Here though I've been waiting because I want to make the portrait of Christopher Hitchens. But you can have multiple projects. So I could paint flowers in this, in the first one, make a portrait in this one. And imagine the afternoon spent doing all these book jackets. And then best bit, after everything is ready, you put the books in your book rack. So that is another idea. Huh? Considering that all your books are going to go in your book rack, spines can also be connected. So the design on the spines can be a completely separate artwork so that when you place the book, especially if it's like a series, say you've got those 6, 7 Harry Potter books, you could design the artwork in such a way that each of the spines has a part of maybe a scene of Hogwarts or something like that. So that any book that is either misplaced or is lost or is taken away, you can tell from the missing part of the design. Once you start doing this, there is so much you realize you can do. It's just endless when it comes to art and design. The point is that, or I would say that point comes when we stop thinking about why bother. Then you start getting all these ideas. So for people who say, like, what is the point? Itna kyun karna hai? Those people are, I guess, lost because they'll never have gati. They'll never have a self-propelled engine or motor that keeps them alive, keeps them thinking, because their only point is, what am I doing this for? And they've still not figured that. Okay, I'm gonna give my paper a wash. And then I'm gonna make some poppies. So these are the areas where I'm gonna make my poppies. I'm marking out the areas literally with just water. So I am sealing in some sections. And here I'm going to write that Merriam-Webster, right? So I'm making a puddle of cerulean blue. I guess blue. If you want to make a large scale wash, then you can use tube colors instead of your cakes. Happen to have them handy, so I'm going to use this. Just this oil. It's just easier when you use tube colors for larger sections. And you can also use a flat brush. The good idea is to make enough paint that will cover the whole area. Now, this is a very large area we have, right? So as usual, I'm going to hold the book at a tilt, but I'm not going to go too much into the flap. Not because I don't have the paint or that I'm being a little stingy, but I like frayed edges. I like edges which are not fine. So I will in fact fray the edge even more. Holding the book at tilt, I will make a silhouette of where I want those poppies to come. And drag this paint down. I'm not looking to make a very even wash. Even washes are very boring washes. Here's the spine. So you could probably avoid making any poppies over there, or you can make just maybe one towards one edge. The reason I'm holding this at an angle is that you can pull the color down by just gravity. This is the spine. This is the dot that I need for the spine. So here I'll just take it straight down. And reload the brush before it goes completely dry. Now here I can start making more poppy shapes. If there are any overlaps, you should visualize the overlap beforehand. If not, then you can just make these shapes down. Now I'm holding this in my hand, but you have drawing board or something, it's better to flip the paper onto that board and tilt the board. Now, wherever you have this joint, it's often a good idea to definitely draw something on the joint so that it can get camouflaged. And as you come towards the end, because again, if you want to make poppies right up to the end, you can make that, or you can just end this a little closer like this, about the same distance away from the edge of the paper as you have started from the top. One way to end it is to just press the brush down sufficiently. So it will create a nice cloudy texture. You can also use some water if you want. I love these textures that watercolor makes. Now, if you're unhappy with the shade, or if you feel it's very patchy, do not correct while the paint is wet. Don't bother. It's a complete waste. What I would recommend though, if you want to, after it has dried, you can do this whole exercise again. But again, I would say that exercise would also be in vain because the background is not the focus. And once you put in all the other elements, the background will look good. So now I'm taking a scarlet and I'm making, no, actually maybe a mix of scarlet and crimson with it. So I'm making a puddle of scarlet and crimson. And I'm going to also add a little bit of orange later on, but I'll show you now. So first I'm going to make a puddle, this mix of scarlet and crimson. As you can see, I'm not sticking very close to the edge. I'm going beyond it. So I'm not really bothered about making the edge of the blue the edge of the flower. And this you'll notice is makes the flower look transparent, which is great. So these kinds of effects in watercolor are almost very often discovered as accidents if you are open-minded. Now, for a conventional thinker, they would say, "Arey, you left all this space for the flower and then you painted over it." So it might be perceived as a mistake. But for the right-minded person over here, you'd say, okay, fine, I've gone beyond the edge. But what does it do? What is it showing? And you can say that, okay, I can see a background. And in what circumstances does that happen? In a situation where the object is transparent. So it's all a matter of how you read the room, how you read the situation.
So Aditi, what two colors have you used? Scarlet and?
Scarlet and crimson.
Okay.
So I have a couple of students who are very, very particular. This is in the live class. When we have lots of time to sit and chat, unlike in the online, there isn't the mahal, I guess, is not conducive for too much chatting. But in the in-person, there is so much of chat and there's a lot of personal revelations also. So there's a girl, Dipti, who comes for the Tuesday batch, who is a self-confessed what's it called? OCD. Yeah. So it's not as if she has a medical condition of OCD, but she knows that she gets very annoyed with simple things like this, like making free flowing shapes is next to impossible for her. She does not understand why we should do it. And can't, but she enjoys the beauty, but she just cannot get herself to do it. And she says, I don't know why. I feel that I'm making a mistake. Okay, now when we are making these flowers, I've now made one layer, but the layers are still wet. So I'm now going to, in the wet layer, make a second layer smaller towards the center. So I'm deliberately making this such that it is going to dry patchy. I'm focusing a little bit on the center. Now, I want you to see how I'm pressing my brush and make it flat. I'm not painting it with the tip, and that makes a lot of difference. So what's happened is a lot of the paint is now concentrated in the center. And I'm going to take just a mix of all this color that has come in the middle. And I'm going to drop in a dark shade in the center of these circles. So any contrasting color will do. Blue, brown, a mix of other colors. Even this cerulean blue will be fine. And I'm going to let this dry. Oh, we were supposed to do an orange also. Yeah, I'll show you the orange in the back. What I did in the front with the reds, I can do in the back with orange. Just a few shapes like that. Just like a C shape. Drawing some of the color in. Unfortunately, because of the screen, you can't, I don't think you can see how bright this is becoming. You need to add some color. Let's see, like a blob here. And then whichever leftover color you have, same thing, you can do this. You can leave a circle in the middle if you want to. Now, the one thing that I've seen everyone do in the live class, at least in-person class, is that you tend to fiddle with the colors a bit more than necessary. Once you have deposited that color, even if it is not in the center, for example, or it creates a hole, or it's an inappropriate color, whatever it is, let it be. If it is flowing too much, there's a chance that you put too much water and it's flowing too much. Let it be. Let it do its thing before you start correcting it. So this creates a very nice backdrop for other mediums also. You could probably take what can you take? Crayons maybe, or if you've got gouache paint, you could use gouache, or like I said, acrylic markers. Now, of course, on all of this later on, we can do a splatter also, because I have just so much of this blue now. If you are doing a splatter, remember, hope you're not wearing white and you don't have too many things around you that can get the splatter. So protect everything, especially the book you're trying to cover. Now I'm going to turn the fan on because this is going to take over. How's it going?
I'm using a scrap paper which was left over from that cutting, the
Okay.
book jacket. I'm not directly painting on the book cover because I'm not sure of what I'm going to do on that.
All right. Fair enough. So you're making some samples.
Yeah.
Good. That's nice. But yeah, Rida, actually you don't have a problem with committing now to design. I have another student who will make only samples. And then she makes some very beautiful samples and then she's confused. Now from these samples, which one will look good? You know, so don't fall
Yeah.
in that trap also. But I don't think you fall in that trap. You do it. I used to be paralyzed because I very often I treated my artworks like that's the last piece of art I'm ever going to do in my life. And I'm just gonna die instead of finish this. So yeah, I did suffer from that paralysis.
I do that too.
You know?
I make all kinds of samples and then I throw them away. Then I'm thinking I'm going to do the next great work. Like, see, I've been doing these
Ah,
little gift tags
so
with all,
cute. That's
and
wonderful.
now I'm going to do the great thing, which is I don't know what, and I don't know when.
Oh my God. This is I think we can paraphrase that John Lennon's quote, na? Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. Art is what happens to you while you're
Yeah.
making your big project. I think it's the same case with lots of people. I remember this was also the plot of a movie called Mr. Holland's Opus. That it's a beautiful movie about a music teacher who is writing a symphony for 40 years and he feels like he's a failure. But it ends beautifully. His symphony is actually all his students. It was just such a beautiful metaphor. So yeah, all your samples are your art. Don't forget that.
No, which is why it was such a big thing for me to complete that book, you know. I
Yes.
can't tell you what a big thing it was.
Yeah. Now that it is done, you need not do anything else. Now you can sample away.
Oh God.
One thing is enough. Okay, so we are gonna have to do this lettering pretty fatafat. Does everyone have an extra 15 minutes? Today I have 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Extra. Very nice. Oh, Ritika, you've left it blank, huh? That blue patch.
I was thinking, I wanted to write the book, one letter of the book. I didn't realize it left blank. So I said it's okay.
Okay. So, but you know what you can do next time is put tape. So put masking tape in that full section so that the edges are then very clean. But this will also be fine. Let's see. Anytime when you have straight edges which are painted blank, it draws too much attention often, and it almost looks like it's a mistake or it's an amateur pattern. And you want to make your illustration look casual and give it an amateurish styling, but it should not look like it's been made by an amateur. You know what I mean? There's a difference between the two. So ideally, if you want to leave a blank patch, make that in with sharp edges, just for the book cover. Let's see if mine has dried. Okay, it's not dried, so I'm just gonna write over it anyway, and hopefully it'll dry before we end. So I want to fold this on the book. Okay, so now at this stage, you can you can make pencil lines, not at this very stage, because as you can see, my colors are still wet. But after your painting has been done, you can make very light marks to make the baseline and the X height. So what we've made over here is a baseline for the letters and X line or a capital height. So I know how tall my letters are going to be. Or I can also write 2 lines within which I can write my word. Now, see, this is something that I would like to avoid. I don't want the word dictionary to come and end before. I want to make it center aligned. So I use those strips of paper and write the word on that. Oh, everything's falling today. So I can write the word that I want over here. My measurements are at the bottom. See, these 2 pencil marks that I had made in the beginning give me the width of the book. So I can write all my words in so much space, and I know that they will definitely fit. Right? So this is it. And I will double check. On the book also, is this the space? Yes. So somewhere over here I have to write Merriam-Webster and then dictionary. Now you can also do another thing is where you write all these words on separate sheets of paper, and you can actually just paste even this. So you can just write Merriam-Webster, the new Merriam-Webster dictionary. You can make a collage also, collage version of the book cover. Anything will do. Now the reason I'm writing it in strips and not on that sheet of paper, that half is, the half A4, A5 sheet, is because these strips I'm going to use for reference. I'm going to keep the sheet over here and then write the word as I've written on this strip of paper. See, here's what we'll do. I'm going to write the word Merriam, and even on this, I'm going to try and fit it in. So Merriam, right? So my R is here. And Webster, Webster. So S is in the middle. So both of them have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Have I written it right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to use the edge of the paper as my base. Just making sure that it is placed straight. Now I'm visualizing Merriam coming over here and then Webster coming over here. So it is going to come in some of the petals. So using a smaller brush, I am going to directly paint this just because we don't have enough time. Edge going up to here, so I can do this. Now again over here, the letters are slightly transparent. And I'll show you what I'm going to do after this. I'm going to try and write the letters in such a way that they are right above the letters that I have placed on this strip. Okay. And then again, leave some space. Now, automatically, this is one baseline. This gives us the capital height for the next word. And in fact, you don't even need the reference of the words. Just the baseline will help because it's about the same number of letters, no? Except I can spread this a little more because here Merriam had two M's. Those are two wide letters in the same word. Webster doesn't. Now you can see that my letters are not particularly even or even very uniform, you know, but they are what watercolor can do. That's the best bit. So I don't have to try really hard to make them look like they are printed. They are definitely not printed. Now I can write the word dictionary. Sorry, I've written it over here. And I can adjust it according to the words above it so that they fit in the right place. Make this the baseline. Just check that it's about the same height from the bottom. And now I can just use a micron pen. And to a great extent, I should be able to center align it. And see what I'm doing? Every time I'm writing the letter, I'm placing it the same distance above my paper. So technically, you really don't even need to draw those lines. Another way to go about it, if you're not very comfortable with just putting paper over here, is using our paper tape. You can just mark with a very thin paper tape where your baselines would be. Now, we can try one more fun thing. We can do the new over here. Huh? I'm going to try this for the first time. Let me see. Theoretically, I know it should work. The new, but my paint is wet. So I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to place the new over here. And I'm going to copy these upside down.
Oh,
Oh, why not? We should try all these things. So W upside down is an N. And we just make the E in the wrong direction. So sign painters often have to do this, no? And in my next life, I'm going to be a sign painter. Not bad.
Hmm. Nice. Very nice.
Very nice, in fact.
Yeah.
Nice, no? See?
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Very nice.
Nice.
So with the least amount of oh. And the best bit is trying to recreate something like that on a computer is impossible. That should be the goal. That you should not be able to recreate it on the computer. Even on Procreate, it might be difficult. So you have all the tools and all, but they won't be able to recreate this. So all we have to do is with whatever watercolor can do, we should be able to do this and be happy with it. All right, now comes the true test. Hopefully everything has dried. Yeah, it has. Now comes the folding bit. So you have to be a little careful when folding. All these paper places are marked, but start with folding on the front part of the spine. This part. This is my spine here, just on the front. So wherever your marker is, fold it exactly or very near that marker. It won't matter because we've not folded before. So fold it here and very carefully press it. Now that you have painted over, you can't do like a fold. So very gently, and also you won't need a very sharp fold at all because it's going to fold over a rounded edge of the book. Okay. Now we're going to keep the book on that point. And fold the cover, the inside cover in. So you can't press it tight, but you can fold it and pinch it. Remove the book. And on the pinch, holding the pinch, match these edges again. So that it gets folded properly. Okay, so these two are done. And the same thing is repeated again on the back. So you have the front, roll this over and fold it in the back. And you need to make a crisp fold on the edge. So again, the same process. If you leave about a millimeter or so, it's fine. Huh? From the edge of the book to the fold on the jacket. It won't match completely. There should be a little room for the original book to jiggle. Here's the spine. Yeah. Oh, I'm loving this. It's looking so cute. I'll make a lovely addition to my book collection. So once this has been folded, now you can write on the spine. So the same process. Now you can use a longer sheet, for example. This is the area that we have. We already have written over here. But you can write it in one long shot. Remember to keep a paper or something just as a baseline if you're not sure. Now for dictionary also, I'm gonna try and write it without centering. So I'll measure DICTIONARY. Centering small words is usually not a problem, but the longer the word gets, centering can become a problem. Now you can use this opportunity to also write your name on the inside flap or the back flap. So this becomes like a library card as well as your cover. So I was going to make Merriam and Webster in a darker blue on top of this. I'm just going to show you this while this one dries. So these blue lines or these blue letters will turn into the shadow. Colors changing. So the same strokes, but just a little off. If you all don't want to, don't do this, but I just want to show you how you can make the shadow first and then make the letter. So normally we will make the shadow a little to the left and bottom. Now this is the reverse where you can make the final letter a little to the right top. And this works very well for watercolor. It takes a little bit of practice to visualize where the new letters would appear. Okay. As I said, this can go on and on. I can spend an entire day or a lifetime doing this. Okay, I'm using my white pen to create highlights on the flower. So you can use black if you want. You can use the white pen to also create highlights, maybe on the letters. So anything. I mean, this all just comes down to illustration or whatever you want to do. You know? And now I can cover it because I'm so impatient. Still the paint is wet. Can't help but have to see how it looks. There we go.
It looks so nice.
Thank
It's
you.
a very good gift also
Yeah.
if you're going to gift somebody a book.
Yeah, isn't it actually what a
Yeah.
lovely idea? Yes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you could,
Yes.
on the inside, you could write a message to them. And also, best bit is on the back, you could write your own review about the book. And you
Oh,
could
Yeah.
make it very personal and say that I think you would like this book because this is what I read in it, or this is what I enjoyed about it, something like that. Now it becomes just completely a personalized gift.
Or if you
Nobody
don't want
would
to
have
spoil
ever
the,
received something like this.
so if you don't want to spoil the suspense of the book, you could also write a shared memory about why you thought this particular book should be gifted to someone.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah,
Remember the time we went and had coffee and we spoke about this, so this book reminded me of.
absolutely. And but
So it makes it like really personal, but it doesn't give away anything about the book.
absolutely. And this, now if you can write it like on books, you have the back page, you will have quotes or something written. It's written in exactly the same style, but it is not, it's just a book jacket. Cool, let's see. Arey, wow, very nice. So it's not looking bad. Let me see, Ritika.
Let's see. Oh, nice, Ritika.
So you know what, that every day that you've written now, that should have been a little higher. Did you touch it to the white part? Should leave a little room. Then that Ayurveda would have stood out. And even Nietzsche, art of daily living, that also could have gone thoda sa Nietzsche. Can you see there's some extra blue space underneath that? But this is good practice. So anytime you have border, a junction between two colors, never touch that with lettering. Any junction, just as a blanket rule, do not touch it. In order to be able to confidently touch that line, there will be some time. Let some time go by and you'll know when is, it has to be deliberate, not by accident. And there are connotations to that. But good, it's looking lovely.
Nice.
I'm so happy. When I started, I was like, I don't know what what I'm doing, the puddles and all. But the end product, I'm very happy to see this.
Very nice. So guys, I'm gonna put this up on YouTube now. Can you all put some comments about the class on YouTube itself? Because there are a lot of other people who are, I think, watching, but they don't know what they're watching. And often I know when I'm looking for a YouTube video, I see the comments. So if you can just say what you thought about what we are doing, how yours turned out or whatever, that will help.
Okay.
Well, and you can say that you attended the batch when this was made. So that also gives them the idea that this was a recorded live. It's not fake live.
Okay.
Cool. And of course, please give lots of thumbs ups and share and whatnot with people. All those things count. I'm so bad at this. Oh my God. The other day I came across somebody I know who's there are courses now in how to promote yourself on Instagram and on YouTube and whatnot. So I was asking somebody that should I do a course like that? They said, no, your only problem is you don't know how to promote. Most people don't have content. So they know how to promote. They say, come to my YouTube video. I have so many thousands of followers, but what is your content? One picture this way, one picture that way. So they totally discourage. Said, don't bother with all of that. Just inform people. That's all you need to do. Inform them. You have enough content. So make sure that people know that you're there, and that's all. You don't have to take pictures this way and that to promote yourself. So I said, okay, fine. That I can do. That I can try to do. So most of the videos, except for a few batches like the calligraphy and some of the other batches, are unlisted. But most of the other batches, everything is public. So you can share it with your friends, and then people who would like to join the live class or even the in-person classes, then they can connect with me. Okay. All
Okay.
right. Okay. I rely on all of you to make me a very successful person.
Absolutely,
Yes,
absolutely.
definitely.
Thank you. Okay. All right.
Thanks, Aditi.
Next
Bye.
next week we will be doing recipe design. So recipe layout, it's just a book layout design. And the last week, most probably we will have we'll have a common class for a lot of other people, because that's an extra class for you guys. It's the 5th week, and once in a while we do get this 5th week. So if ever during the year you have missed any one class, or there's been a holiday or something, it generally gets covered up every 3-4 months. So this will be that class. That's on the 29th. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'll see you next
Okay.
then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.